Hello there. shout out, shout out to Tabitha Brown and all of the people that are in this creative space, man. It's your boy Ammo coming live and direct from the Mind of a Man Network, and we coming from a special edition from the house. You feel me? And listen, man, we got a lot to get into. If you are looking in because you are a regular listener, viewer, all of those things, then please you come on back round now, yeah. Show them boys how you do it up in Harlem there, boy. But if you are a first time guest, hello there. You stay around. You stick and you stay. Do you hear me? Man, listen. Welcome to the platform, man. This is the network, but you gonna get these sports, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we talking about tonight. I just had a heck of a day, okay? And let me tell you, I went to work. I had to go get my hair cut, so I went and got my hair cut while I was on the clock. I then got off the clock, drove to get my kids. Heard about 105.3 The Fan doing Fan Phenom where people can audition. You almost have a snowball's chance in Hades of being able to get on the show. But, you go and you do the best that you can with the gift that you have. And the last show of the year was actually in Frisco. So I drove from North Richland Hills to Mansfield to pick up my kids and then to Frisco. It also rained very badly. So then after I got maneuvered through the rain, we got through the rough patch, made it over to Frisco with 5, then 2, then 1% battery. So I didn't even use my phone the entire time. I took screenshots and reference back and forth. I was getting lost and whatnot, but I made it happen. So anyway, I get over there, and for those of you who may know me, maybe you don't know me, here's the reality. I do this. Like, this isn't like a false humility or a humble brag or cockiness or arrogance. I'm not trying to be Shador to some of you, to some of y'all chagrin who like to think that. No, I actually really am a content creator. This is the thing that I do. I'm really good at it. I'm good at speaking. I'm cool at being in front of the camera. But here's also the other reality. There's never a time that I'm in front of people and I don't feel nerves. Never. No, not one time is there where I'm in front of people and I don't feel something for the word that I'm about to bring, the conversation I'm about to have, the topic that we're about to speak on. I never feel like I'm too big for the moment. And so I had some stuff that I wanted to say, some well-rehearsed stuff, some stuff I just came with up on the fly. I think that may be somewhat of the genius of who I am. I am able to do things that sound rehearsed, that sound prepared, that are very much on the fly. But I'm sitting there in front of Gavin Spittle. I'm sitting there in front of CA Sports, Chris Arnold, 3-time Hall of Famer, all of those things. And I started getting nervous. And I'm frustrated because I'm like, why is it that I'm nervous? Why do I feel nerves? I've drove an hour to Frisco to get nervous. Is that what I do? Like, I was anyway, I'm skipping ahead to the end, but I actually did end up, getting my stuff out, and it was cool. And I was talking a little fast, but I knew what I was talking about. I just had these few moments where it just didn't come out the way that I wanted. And so that was how it ended up here, or so late. So for any of you who are watching, yes, we will be talking about Micah Parsons being sent to the Packers. Listen, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. What are the pros? What are the cons? Are you okay with Micah Parsons no longer being a part of the Dallas Cowboys? Are you okay with what we got back in return? Let me know in the chat below. Do you not care at all? And you just hear it because you don't want to get fined? Whatever that is, we want to talk about it. And so with that being said, for those of you who may have been living under a rock, the Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, the de facto general manager and owner of the Dallas Cowboys since 1989, waited until close of business for most of us people who have regular jobs to send Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. You heard it correct. He sent Micah Parsons, the defensive end edge rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, three-time, All Pro, whatever, to the 12 to 13 sacks a year guy to the Green Bay Packers in return for Kenny Grant. I think that was his name, Kenny Grant, a defensive tackle. And let me just double check that name so I can make sure that I'm not making stuff up. But I believe his name is Kenny Grant. Kenny Clark. I'm sorry. No disrespect, my brother. You're always welcome on You're Gonna Get These Sports, bro. I know you probably did some dope things in the league, but I ain't never really paid attention to the Packers like that. I've been a Cowboy fan my entire life. But anyway, so Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. Now, like I said earlier, there's no way that either one of those picks actually end up playing for the Dallas Cowboys. But what we can in fact expect, is that those picks will eventually be packaged to make a charge with what is already considered to be a bad Dallas Cowboys team. So I didn't never expect for them to win more than 6 or 7 games this year, even with Micah Parsons at that time still being a part of the Dallas Cowboys organization. It only can go down from here. They always talk about how Micah Parsons, with him on the field, we end up being some of the best, one of the best defenses in the league, and then when he's off the field, we're one of the worst. That's garbage. You can look at PFF all you want to. That doesn't really tell the story of what we actually saw from Micah Parsons in his time in uniform with the Dallas Cowboys. Randy Galloway would say often, for those of you who are familiar with local radio, Randy Galloway was one of the reasons that I actually love sitting in my car after work and listening to sports radio, said, pardon my language, watch the damn game. We can talk about stats all day long. Look at the film and tell me what you see. Is he athletic? Yes. Is he speed? Does he have speed? Yes. Does he have a level of strength to him? Yes. Is he versatile, so to speak? Maybe. But and I say maybe because to the degree that we could lament the fact that he's no longer here, I say not. What I say is, I say good day, sir. Shout out to the Feds from That 70s Show. I say good day, sir. Because at the end of the day, averaging 12 to 13 sacks in the NFL is no small feat. It's nothing to look down or frown upon. But here's the reality. It's like anything else in life. It's not just about what you do. It's when you do it. It's where you do it. It's how you do it. So in 2 games against the San Francisco 49ers, and 1 game against the Green Bay Packers, by which, might I add, we got beat by 40 burger. Micah Parsons never had an impact on any one of those 3 games. And oh, do I mention last year that they actually didn't make the playoffs? Now, am I saying that being a generational talent means you always have to make the playoffs? No, I'm not saying that. One of the greatest linebacker duos ever came out of New Orleans, and they were a part of the teams that didn't win any games. So what I'm not here to tell you is that Micah Parsons doesn't have the potential to be a generational talent because the Cowboys didn't make the playoffs, or because he didn't have great numbers in the years leading up to the 2024 season when they didn't make the playoffs. We know that football is the ultimate team sport, and it is not Micah Parsons' job alone to execute for the Cowboys to win. But it is in fact your job to execute when your number is called in the moments that matter the most, when the defense is on the field. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can argue with me and tell me that we've seen Micah Parsons produce to the clip of a Max Crosby, of a Chris Jones, of a, I can't remember the guy's name that plays for Cincinnati, but that guy, T.J. Watt. Should I keep going? Because those players are expected to produce on the field for their team in the moments that matter most, before the half is over, in key 3rd and 4th down plays where the quarterback and running back and receiver and tight end are expected to also get paid to perform in the 4th quarter with 2 minutes left, game-winning drives. I can argue with you or to you that Micah Parsons, in fact, never, and I am not overstating that when I say this, has never made a play in a game that mattered against a playoff team or in the playoffs themselves when we actually needed him to. I'm not talking about Washington because he did have a sack against Washington, I believe, last year. I don't even remember if we beat them one of those times. But we've seen what happened with the Washington Commanders. They end up going to the NFC Championship, a place that we've not been in nearly 30 years. Oh, might I add that I was in the 5th grade the last time the Cowboys actually went to an NFC Championship and actually won one. Do you know the generational talents that we've seen? He was compared to Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive player, in my opinion, the greatest defensive player to ever put on a pair of pads. You don't think Lawrence Taylor was ever double teamed? Coked up and all, he made play after play after play. He's a Super Bowl winner as well, might I add. A Defensive Player of the Year, might I add. Did he win an MVP? I could be absolutely wrong about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did. Let's be honest here. We act like Jerry is numb to the fact that Micah Parsons is a good NFL player. He's not numb to the fact of that, but what he does know is he's seen great. He's seen upper echelon elite players that perform when it matters most. And if we're being real, we know that Micah Parsons is not that guy. Not saying he's not good. Once again, I'm not saying that Micah Parsons cannot play football in the NFL. I'm not saying that he is not worth his salt. I'm not saying that he wasn't the best player on this Dallas Cowboys defense since he stepped on the field. But what I am saying is, when we needed him to go up against some of the best left tackles and right guards in the game, against teams like the Philadelphia Eagles and against the San Francisco 49ers and against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs and all of these things, he did not show up. Against the Buffalo Bills, those quarterbacks were relatively untouched by Micah Parsons unless it was a slight push at the end of a game or right when they get rid of the ball, he's right there. Here's my issue with Micah Parsons that people will never talk about because they are so caught up on how immensely talented that they think he is. Micah Parsons embodies everything that people hate about the Dallas Cowboys. He is, in fact, a flash in the pan kind of guy. Whether you want to hear that, whether you believe it or not, if you turn the film on, if you watch the dang game, Micah Parsons does not show up in the moments that we need him the most. And I don't care how many NFL teams or players vote him all pros and all of that stuff. That's awesome. You know, I think there's a lot of times that we can be honest and say we see guys that play basketball, whether that's at a rec league or G League or in the NBA or whatever, and we don't deny the fact that none of them that they don't deserve to be there, because they absolutely deserve to be there. But the playing time you get, the trust that you get from your players and your coaches, the execution that you actually do when the crunch time matters, we can never overlook those things. Who was that kid, if y'all can remember, during the NBA bubble? He played for the Pacers. He had those braids. He was dropping 50 in the bubble. We never heard of him once we got out of the bubble because the pressure matters. The preparation matters. Let's not forget, and I'm not mad at nobody trying to get their money, but let's be clear. Micah Parsons could have played another 3 years on this team because Jerry owned him. And that's the word, that's the terminology I'm going to use. No disrespect, we not going slave here. But this is the reality of what we see. Jerry owned the rights to Micah Parsons for the next 3 years. Why? Because he had a 5th-year option. And he had 2 times that he can get franchised if they so wanted to do that. So it is what it is here. We don't have to act like it's something that it's not, because we just love the Cowboys so much. And let me ask you a question, pray tell. Why do we care so much about our precious Cowboys when they've done nothing for us lately? What have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah. Cowboys have done nothing for us lately but give us heartache and grief and pain. But we stand with our pitchforks walking around that stadium that we can see from freaking Dallas and Frisco and greater Texas, knowing that it's like the girlfriend that can't stay, the girlfriend that gave you mono. Cowboys are the girlfriend that gave you mono, nucleosis, because they can't stay faithful. You can't trust that when she says she's going to be somewhere, she's actually there. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are to us. But I just have to sit up here and talk y'all off the ledge every year. Hey, man, temper your expectations. What have they done? Hey, listen, you don't just jump the broom, son. Yeah, she cooking today. Don't mean she cooking tomorrow. She smell good today. Let's see if she brush her teeth when she don't got to go to work. We got to sell the cow. We got to sell optimism, realistic optimism about the Cowboys. Hey, let's just settle for they're going to show up and fight hard or something. I don't even know what to give to the Cowboy organization anymore, the fans. Like, there's this thing. Here's how silly some of you Dallas Cowboy fans are. There was a skit that a guy did where they literally walked up and started interviewing people and asking them about a player that doesn't exist. Hey, how do you feel about Joe Blow, who we just picked him up as a fourth round pick from Seattle Seahawks? Oh man, and they started talking as if this player really existed, but he didn't. That is the delusion that we live with as Cowboy fans. And y'all are so ready. Y'all are so ready to declare it is your year. Let me be honest with you. Have you ever thought for 1 second that part of the reason that Micah Parsons is no longer on this team is because he didn't want to be on this team? We seem to think that because the Cowboys are America's team, and I put that in air quotes, we seem to think that because the Cowboys are America's team, I'm sorry, camera angle is garbage, but because we think that the Cowboys are America's team, and not just in hype. See, if you're going to be America's team, it can't just be hype. It can't just be the stars on the helmet. It can't just be the cheerleaders. It can't just be the team that people love to hate. You have to do something that is worthy of the praise. But what if Micah Parsons just didn't want to be here? What if he didn't believe that whether he took a pay cut or not, that Jerry Jones was actually going to put the players around him to be successful and actually fight for a championship? You think it, so let's start dissecting some of this stuff and start breaking it down. So you don't think that Micah Parsons, watching the Cowboys draft year after year after year after year, he would critique the drafts and he would talk about this great player that got took off the board. Oh, look where he went, to the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, look where he went. He went to the Buccaneers. Oh, look where he went. He went to the San Francisco 49ers. Year after year after year, Micah Parsons had to watch the Cowboys not pick sure things, can't miss guys that he's calling out. Oh, that's a great player. He's going there. It's something to this. Maybe Micah Parsons just didn't want to play for the Cowboys anymore. All money ain't good money. Just because it's like, it's weird to me, right? Because the narrative that we're sold by Jerry, if you watch Stephen A. and Jerry talk, right? The narrative that is sold is that he said, go get your agent. Let's get this done. Go get your agent. We'll sign the deal. We'll make it happen, and that's it. That's what he tells us. So Micah was super eager to meet with you. But you told him, no, you know what? Go get you some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. You just fresh off a flight out the country. Go get you some rest. We'll talk in the morning. Now, what type of shrewd negotiator, even if it's any advantage that you can get to lock in a player of his caliber, wouldn't you take every opportunity to capitalize to make sure that Micah Parsons is a longtime Cowboy if you got the opportunity to do it? Why would I put any space between you and I if I could close the deal, seal the deal? Why would I? Why would I do that? There's certain things that I listen to about Jerry's narrative that I believe Jerry is always, I don't think it's that he's going to lie. He's always going to err on the side of something that sounds favorable for Jerry, though. So Michael went from that. There's a signed, sealed, delivered. This is the thing that I'm also wondering, right? Oh. So here's the thing that I wonder about, right? So Jerry Jones offered for Micah Parsons to be the highest paid non-quarterback ever. And he said no. Anybody who watched the Stephen A interview, you're telling me that Micah Parsons was offered to be the highest paid non-quarterback player ever. And he said no. If that's the case, was it about money? Was it about player personnel? Was it about if he really thought that he could win in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys? The agent had such a pardon my language, a hard on for sticking it to Jerry that he would neglect to pay he would neglect to get his guy paid if the opportunity presented itself. Something about it just doesn't sit right with me. And I think that it would be easy for Jerry to sell us on the idea that he did everything that he could to sign him, but I just didn't want to do business with the agent. I think that's a very audacious statement to make in the very first place. Like, so oftentimes we look at people, right, married men, right, when they do business or they want to sign for something, they want to get a new service or whatever, they want to make a major purchase, one of the biggest things that they'll use is they say they need to talk to their wife, right? Am I right? Comment in the chat if that's actually what it is. Ami Hurst, what's the deal, my guy? Omi Hurst, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. But what's up, my guy? Good to see you. Good to hear. Oh, wait, is that my boy? Wait, is that Omar? What's up, my guy? But anyway, so that is the biggest objection that we normally hear, correct? We hear people say, I need to talk to my wife when they are on the fence about making a major purchase, correct? Okay, cool. So for me, if Micah Parsons is holding something that he doesn't really want to pull the trigger, that he would say, well, you got to talk to my agent. Now, is it? What's up, my guy? What's up, Omar? I'm on here going in about the Cowboys, dog. I can't even lie. Sorry that it's late. We all got to go to work in the morning, but we got to talk about it. So, and just to fill you in, my guy, I was late getting on. I was going to do this way earlier, but I went and auditioned for the 105.3 The Fan. They were doing Fan Phenom, and so I wanted to try my hand at seeing if I could, possibly get opportunity to get hired by them to, talk sports or whatever. So it was cool, but I didn't do my best, and I'm frustrated about that. I talked about that in the first 5 minutes, so go watch that from the beginning if you want to know about that. But we are talking Cowboys. So yes, I'm just wondering, what was the objection of Micah Parsons to want to run everything through the agent, and what made Jerry so hesitant to run those dialogues through that agent? So Jerry, you're telling me that Dak Prescott, we never talked to his agent? Is that what you're telling me? You're going to lie to me and tell me that you didn't never talk to Dak Prescott's agent. You're going to tell me that for Teron Diggs, you never talked to his agent. You're going to tell me that for Tank, that just went and signed with the team that he signed with, Seattle Seahawks, you're telling me that you never did business with the agent. You only did business with him. Here's the reality about people that hold the big stick. When you want to paint a narrative to fit whatever you want it to fit, it doesn't matter what I say. If you want to take issue with something that I did, if you want to take issue with how I do business, if you want to take issue with the person that I am, it's well within your right to do so because you hold the big stick. So for Jerry Jones, if he wants to say, I don't do business with agents, you can say that. You absolutely can say that. Talking about how smart Micah Parsons is, but not allowing him to be smart enough to do business through his agent, who he pays to negotiate for him, because Micah Parsons doesn't read contracts. He shouldn't read contracts. It's legal jargon. So, Jerry, you don't get to pull the wool over my eyes. You don't get to pee on me and tell me it's raining. Because you want to spin a narrative about whatever the reason was why you chose not to sign what was the best player on your defense. Now, as I said before, I am perfectly fine with us trading Micah Parsons. I was perfectly fine with us trading Luka Doncic. But what I am not okay with is not getting a haul back in return for what you guys say is a special, elite, generational talent. How elite is he if you trade him for a almost over the hill defensive tackle and two guys that you and I, you know that kid, those two kids, whoever they may be, are not going to ever play a down for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's also be clear. When I listen to him, see, Jerry's a genius for many different reasons. But I listen to him on the Stephen A. podcast or show, whatever you want to call it, talk about the trade that he made for Herschel Walker. He's saying that he pulled the trigger on all of that. Don't think I didn't pay attention, Jerry, and I don't know what you're trying to say. You're trying to take credit away from Jimmy Johnson and say you're the guy who made the deals and you shook the hands and you made the phone call. I'm still not buying that, but it's cool because here's the thing. If he did it before, he can do it again. Same guy right now. Same guy back then. What are we talking about here? If you did it before, you could do it again, Jerry. It's been 30 years. We ain't been close to sniffing an NFC championship. We've not made it out of the divisional round in 30 years. But you're going to tell us and try to convince us that you are the guy who makes it shake? I was born at night, not last night, kinfolk. I was born in the morning, not this morning. Stop playing with me. Don't tell me dirty little lies to make yourself feel better about being inadequate as a general manager, sir. And who am I? I'm just a guy that's sitting on the podcast, sitting on the Mind of a Man Network, talking You Gonna Get These Sports, episode number 4. Micah Parsons sent packing. I'm not mad that you didn't sign him. But why did we only get 2 first-round picks and an over-the-hill defensive tackle? This team isn't fit or set to win a championship as we stand. We weren't set or fit to win a championship yesterday when Micah Parsons was still fully a member of this organization. So why, oh why, are you going to lie to us and make it seem like we just fill these voids? The thing that he said on the because he did a primetime interview. It was probably on NFL Network and all of this stuff. I'm driving to Frisco, listening to the interview, listening to the press conference, and he says, those 2 picks can turn into 3 to 5 players. In what world, Jerry? Because this is what we know. The higher that you make it in the playoffs, the further you go in the playoffs, the lower your draft stock gets. So what ends up happening is, that first round pick that was a top 10 pick, you make the playoffs, it's about in the 20s. You make it to the NFC Championship, it's 20s, low 20s. You win the Super Bowl, it's not even worth it. Because the talent that you're going to need, the generational talent that you're going to want to get in return for trading away what you guys believe is a generational talent in Micah Parsons, it's no longer relevant. If the team goes on and wins like that, it only matters if that team is terrible. And the Green Bay Packers aren't going to be terrible. I don't know if you know, but they successfully had 3 quarterbacks that can get them to a Super Bowl. Oh, it started with Brett Favre, and then it went to Aaron Rodgers, and now it's Jordan Love. That's a successful franchise. Not Danny Warfel. Not Tony Romo. Not Dak Prescott. Not Quincy Carter. Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman. Those are your Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Everybody else pales in comparison. Could never win a big game. Dak Prescott is no different. Rain Dakota Prescott, as I like to call him. All due respect, that's your name. Your mama call you Clay? I'm going to call you Clay. Rain Dakota Prescott, that's your name, my boy. But the thing is, We got to stop acting like Jerry let us know what he was going to do. At the end of that show with Stephen A, he said, "Oh well, uh, you never know. I could make a move. I could, do." He kept going back to a team that was raw. That team from the 88, 89 season, 90 season was a raw team. They didn't have anything. They literally pieced everything together and built a successful franchise through Jimmy Johnson, who coached these guys, through the player personnel who developed Jerry, this isn't the way the franchise is set up. Stop lying to my face. It's very disrespectful. But we're supposed to believe that if Micah Parsons just would have not talked to his agent and just dealt with you, because you don't want to deal with agents, you just want to deal with the players. That's how you get jobs done. You painted a picture that the agent doesn't want to do right by his player. Well, these agents aren't even around. What, Jerry, shut up and sign players that can help us win. Do you know how hard it is to be a Dallas Cowboy fan in Texas? Do you know how hard it is to be a Dallas Cowboy fan that lives in the DFW? We don't want you to sell us any more dreams, pipe dreams that don't mean anything. So please, oh please, if you're going to trade away a guy like Micah Parsons, who I'm never going to tell you is not a good player, he's not a gifted player, because he is. But he was a running back in high school. Does anybody know that? He was a running back in high school. When he went to college, you know what he played? Linebacker. So tell me, anybody, in the comments, please let me know, what would propel a guy who probably more than likely, okay, I thought I'd seen something crazy about Shador, but it was Shiloh, so we good. But what would propel a player to not only switch positions, but switch the whole side of the field that he plays on? What would make a guy who was probably drafted as a running back, who was probably recruited as a running back, then go and play defense? Anybody? Raise your hand. Speak, please. Holler at me in the comments. What would make a talented guy like that go from running back to linebacker? Cool. You flash. You're supposed to be a top 10 pick. Character issues, whatever. And now you're not. So you fall to the Cowboys. And I don't even know if the Cowboys really took the time to check you out at linebacker. You immediately go to pass rusher, running back to linebacker to pass rusher. For any of us who watch football, for any of us who know how this game goes, if you played any semblance of football, I'm not saying that you had to play pro or college or whatever, but arena ball or whatever, we know what the prototypical players look like and how they should fill those gaps. Here's the reality. Micah Parsons isn't a tall, rangy guy. Am I right or am I wrong about it? He's not a tall, rangy guy. He's also not a big, chiseled, dumpy, whatever. He's not the freak, Kavon, or whatever that guy's name was that played for Tennessee. He's not that guy. He's a short, quick guy that can do a little bit of a bull rush at times. He's just a try-hard of a guy. Not saying he's not talented. To get 12 to 13 sacks in the NFL is not a small feat. But does it happen against the Philadelphia Eagles? Does it happen against the Green Bay Packers? Does it happen against the San Francisco 49ers? Does it happen against the Buffalo Bills? Does it happen against the Kansas City Chiefs? When are you producing? Because that's what matters, sir. That's what makes them say, you either are a Dak Prescott and you got him by the balls because you're the guy, there's not nobody on that roster that can perform to that clip even as you are, or you can't miss. You just a can't miss guy. And for some reason, the guy who has no problem paying anybody didn't see you as a can't miss player. I guess I'm just wondering what will propel the guy who loves all the attention in the world to rather make the attention be that he's trading you to somebody that's in your same conference that you got to play in week 4, rather than sign you and say, we want you to be a Cowboy for the rest of your life. Was it just that he didn't want to deal with the agent? Was it just that Micah? I'm telling y'all, we're the only people, the 80s babies, and of course anybody older than that, but us 80s babies are the only people that remember the Cowboys winning. Last Super Bowl, I was in the 5th grade. Nobody remembers that. Like, fam, you got people who can't remember a player from 10 years ago. You got players who play football and don't watch football. So a player like Micah Parsons, he just wants to win. But I see your play, Jerry. I see your play. You know that Dak Prescott isn't the guy. You know that you know that you know. But you got an ace in the hole because you know he'll always do just enough. So we don't have a solidified tight end that's going to blow the doors off. We don't have a solidified running back that's going to blow the doors off. We do, in fact, have 2 players that are solidified number 1, 1A, 1B receivers in the NFL, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. One of those guys is locked up as far as his contract, and the other guy, if he shows up and does some dope things, you'll sign him too to a long-term deal. But Arch Manning is waiting in the weeds like Batman at the University of Texas. Hook 'em, baby. But here's the problem that people don't talk about. We don't know how good Arch Manning actually is or is going to be. So you'll sell the farm for this guy. See, I don't even think it's strange that he even signed at Texas. I often wonder, like, why Texas out of all the places? Unless you had the inside track on knowing Quentin Ewers ain't the guy. Which, by the way, Lenny, I know you probably ain't gonna never see this, but Lenny Williams, I told you. I told you, brother, on Facebook, I told you Quentin Ewers wasn't the guy. You said he was a bona fide lottery pick or whatever. And I'm like, not a lottery pick because that's basketball, but he was like, man, it's a top 5 pick type of thing, right? No, he's not. I saw it. I'm watching him. In the big moments, he gets really small. His throws aren't spectacular. He's a regular guy. And then we watched him implode against Georgia twice. And then I seen Arch Manning stroll out to the field, and I said, you know what? Keep him in the game. Let's just see what he got. Listen, I know Quentin Ewers ain't the guy. So let this kid go out there and get his lumps against one of the better teams of this decade and see how he does. He didn't do so hot either. So they went back to Quentin. And the game, got close and stuff like that. But ultimately, we still don't know how Arch Manning is going to perform. I hope he does really well. The money is there. The NIL money is there. My bet is that Arch Manning doesn't leave Texas for the next 15 years. Because there's no way that kid is going to go light it up at Texas, win a national championship, or come very close and don't become the number 1 draft pick in the NFL draft next year. It's not happening. I don't care what Archie says. There's no way that kid doesn't come out if he doesn't do that. Now, if he needs more development, I trust, based off of Archie's track record, that he will absolutely see to it that Arch stays and develops again. Because they can go do whatever they want to do. We've seen it. I ain't going to the Chargers. You might well go and figure something else. That's what happened with Eli. And he ended up getting signed to the Giants. 2 Super Bowls, some lucky catches, and a great defense later. Then we're talking about him possibly being in the Hall of Fame, and he's not a Hall of Famer. Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer. I don't care. If Trent Dilfer ain't a Hall of Famer, he ain't no Hall of Famer. Sorry. I don't care who want to argue with a mama. Not a Hall of Famer. But it's cool, whatever. You did what you did. Your defense should go in the Hall of Fame, not you. So anyway, my argument is that he didn't want to be here. My personal belief is that he's never seen the Cowboys win. But I can see Micah Parsons being a student of the game. I can absolutely see him being a guy who's in love with the process of everything that comes along with playing in the NFL. The process, the preparation. Now, is he a chatty patty? You better believe it. He gonna have plenty of time to podcast indoors because it ain't nothing to do until the summertime in Green Bay. It is cold, frigid. It's gonna suck. And let's not act like that's not gonna have an effect. I'm sorry. A lot of those players end up hurt all the time. And it is my theory that it's got to do something with that weather. If you look at their receiver history, their linebacker history, listen, those guys, Aaron Rodgers, there's no reason Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have been to way more than one Super Bowl. They had multiple number one seeds with this guy. He tore the league apart for years. Got to the playoffs, spit the bit. It gets cold. Stuff don't work the same. What that boy A said, hey man, my body different, man. So with all due respect, Jerry, we're not buying what you're selling. And here's the other reality. Ain't nobody finna stop literally spending their money on jerseys. Now, I will go get me a Shedeur jersey. I'm telling you that right now. Shedeur jersey. I need it. Do you hear me? I need it and I want it. Gotta have it. But I'm not buying no. Who am I? Listen, I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he's phenomenal. I've been trying to tell people. See, now let's do a little compare and contrast. Because I remember arguing with a former podcast that I was on about what the real issue was with the Cowboys, right? And my argument was, it's Dak Prescott. Now, we all know the overarching issue is not even Dak Prescott. It is the guy who is willing to pay a Dak Prescott, even though you know in your heart of hearts, even if his numbers say he's a top 10 quarterback, when it comes to the moments that matter most, Dak Prescott is not a top 10 quarterback, not off production. So let's look at this. Let me pull up. I just want to pull this up really fast. Y'all hold on. If y'all in here riding with your boy, just keep riding out. Show love however you want to show love. I'm no longer telling people what to do. If you find value, you know what to do. So I want to look up. I didn't put in the whole thing. CeeDee Lamb, San Francisco 49ers game. So let me just tell y'all this right quick. Because see, this is the stuff that we can hang our hat on. This is what I want y'all to do. Is pay attention to these type of numbers and then see what it is. Okay. So, let me see if this is the actual thing. So we lost. No, that's not it. I want to go to the playoff game. Career stats against the 49ers. As of October 2024 matchup, Lamb has 22 receptions for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns in 3 career games against the 49ers. You don't think that's impressive? So let's look at the recent one. October 20. Oh, well, this is a Cowboys lost to 49ers. Okay, so the Cowboys lost 30-24 to the 49ers. Lamb had strong performance with 13 catches, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns, making a key score in the fourth quarter. Now, I want to go to that playoff game. Where's the playoff game? Because I'm like, y'all got to start getting real about what we see on the field and what it actually means to produce. Is this the playoff game right here? I'm sorry, y'all. I got to get this stuff correct, though. Because I want people to stop acting like, nah, see, that's some old stuff. It don't even matter. This is my point. Hold on, let me see what my boy said. Oh my. He said, players probably see the Cowboys as a money pit to make money, but not to win championships. You're absolutely correct, Omar. But here's the problem. What happens when the players don't even care about the money pit because they can also go get money somewhere else, i.e. Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons. Hey Siri, what is the new contract that Micah Parsons signed for with the Green Bay Packers? because I want to make sure I'm correct. All right, Siri, don't you dare embarrass me. Don't you dare embarrass me. Let me see. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? So Parsons agreed to a 4-year, $188 million contract, which includes $120 million fully guaranteed and 136 million in total guarantees, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Wait, so you're telling me that the Cowboys aren't the only place where you can go get paid like that? Is that what you're telling me? So you're saying Jerry said that they were looking at teams that actually had the cap to sign him to a long-term deal. Why are we trying to cut? Why are we trying to look out and cut deals for guys that we taken off of our roster? Unless there was something in there where we are gonna have to pay for the money that they can't cover or something like that. If that's the case, it makes sense. But overall, stop telling me how much you love the guy. I watched you sign Roy Williams. I watched you sign Brandon Carr. I watched you sign guys that you should never have signed. And I promise you, they probably weren't half as talented as Micah Parsons. So my point is not that we should have kept him. It's stop feeding us the lies and nonsense about what it's really about. I don't know what it was really about. But I would like to believe that it was 60-40. He did not want to play for the Cowboys anymore. We've heard a lot of guys complain about money and never say, well, trade me. Why is it that Micah took that approach and said, trade me? We got to look deeply at this stuff sometimes. What do y'all think? Anybody in the comments before we move on? What do you think? What do you think about the idea that the Cowboys could absolutely stink? Because here's what we don't talk about. Excuse me. What we don't talk about is the fact that Dak Prescott has been injury prone. He tore his hamstring completely off the bone. Be honest with me. When's the last time in the last 20 years you heard about a supreme athlete tearing anything off the bone? When's the last time? I would proffer you ain't heard about it. There's that one time where his ankle went this way and his foot was going that way. There's the broken hand. I just named 3 injuries that happened within the last 4 years. So we can sit up here and play this game all you want to. Sounding real Romo-esque, if you ask me. Punctured lung, multiple times breaking the collarbone, back. That was Romo. And then we hear these laments from Jerry Jones about how he wishes he would have provided some stuff for Romo in a window where he could win. Wait a minute, Jerry. Hold the press. Stop the press because your breath ain't fresh. You telling me there was a time where you weren't all in? You telling me that it was a time where you could have did more to put a winning team around Tony Romo and you didn't do it? Somehow, the Cowboys still manage. Somehow I managed, Michael Scott. Shout out to all the people who love The Office. Somehow I managed. I wish we could have got that book from you. But you're telling me somehow the Dallas Cowboys still managed to be the most valuable franchise in the world, Craig. The world. But we can't manage to put a winning product on the field? Can somebody, anybody? Is there a heart? Is there a heart in the house tonight? Stand up, stand up. Shout out to 5 Heartbeats. Can somebody please tell me how we can continue to make more of a bottom line in the dollar category, but can't put a winning product on the field? Can't get a quarterback that can stay healthy. Can't get a running back in the draft. How do we not get a running back in the draft? For years. 4 years. And I'm going to say it one more time for the three-piece. 4 years. I have told people two things about the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to the draft. We don't value safety, and we don't value three technique. We don't value two of the things that are going to save you, make you, and break you in the playoffs against teams that matter. A guy that can stop a run in the middle of the field. How do you think we end up losing to San Francisco 49ers the last time we played them? We stuck around. I was going to call him Romo, but Dak does what he normally does. He causes turnovers early, and then we fight and claw our way back into the game until we lose and die a terrible death. So you don't get Ndamukong Suh. You don't get the guy who's played for Tampa Bay all those years. I forgot his name. You don't get those generational players. You don't invest in an Earl Thomas. And is that the draft where we actually got Dez? I'll take Earl Thomas over Dez. And I love Dez. Amazing. But Earl Thomas was the leader of the Legion of Boom. The smallest guy on the field. The leader of the Legion of Boom. I watched him at Texas. Won a championship there. He was special. But we passed on him. Why do we skip over the true generational talents? You know who we actually passed on? TJ Watt. We passed on TJ Watt. He was phenomenal. That's why he went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This stuff ain't hard to tell, guys. But then we'll get the guy that's the flash in the pan. We get Sean Lee. We get Jalen Smith in the second round. Both of those guys. You know what the common issue was with those guys? They were guys who had a high ceiling and a low floor. You know why? Because they were already injured. Sean Lee had a knee. Jalen Smith, microfracture. Watched them at Notre Dame. That's my other team. Fighting Irish, baby. Come on. Somebody hold Jerry's feet to the fire. Start asking him these questions. How can I pick up on the fact that these guys don't produce? Then they start telling me about this Kwara Nwansu guy that plays defensive end. I'm watching him. He ain't that special. We drafted a guy that they said was a really long, rangy, tall, special cornerback who had a knee surgery last year. Guess what? He was limping off the field in the first preseason game. Trevon Diggs. Nothing against Trevon Diggs. Love Trevon Diggs. I follow him on YouTube. I love the content. But Trevon Diggs was a receiver until he got to Alabama, and then they switched him to corner. Why, once again, why, oh why, do they do that? You're not that great of, you don't got that great of hands. Here's what you don't do. Here's what you don't do. You don't take great generational players and switch their position when they get to college. When they get to the pros. You don't just do that. But the Cowboys did. Alabama did. And you know who can afford to do it? Alabama. You know why? Because they got 4- and 5-star receivers. Easy. Now, Trevon Diggs has not been a bad player in the NFL by no stretch. But he's real boom or bust. Real boom or bust. You can't depend on the guy to get a good tackle when you need it. You can't depend on him to get a good pick when you need it. See, getting 11 picks in a season, in a game, in a year is cool. Once again, when did it happen? Did it happen when we played against San Francisco? Because I don't think it did. Did it happen when we played against Green Bay? I don't think it did. Were you injured when we played against Green Bay? The best ability is availability. So if you can't stay healthy and on the field, what can you do for us? Now maybe he wasn't. Maybe he actually got injured late last year, and that's fine. If I'm wrong about that, that's fine. But the point still remains the same. These guys got to stay healthy, and they got to produce when it matters most. It's almost like Kevontae Turpin, right? It's like, Kevontae, you ran back 2 punt returns in a game, and I said, that kid's making the team. It's not even a question. But here's the thing. If you can't get us a kick return, a punt return, late in the game in the fourth quarter when we need it the most, doing it with the last game of the season when we clearly ain't making the playoffs, don't do nothing for me, bucko. There's just a lot of flash in the pan stuff that we accept from the Cowboys that I don't think if we translated it to regular life, if we translated it to a relationship with somebody that we were with day in, day out, it wouldn't fly. So why do we let Jerry make it so much? It's actually just very disappointing to me to watch this unfold every year. Can we hold him accountable once? Can we boycott a game once? I guarantee you he will stop talking so sweet to us. It will stop being a bunch of sweet nothings in our ear if we force him to actually do something that matters. Because he acts like it matters to him to win a championship. But I'm looking at your roster, buddy. No, you don't. And I ain't talking about just this roster. I'm talking about 13-3 Dak Prescott Cowboys. I'm talking about 13-3 Tony Romo Cowboys. To quote Bart Scott, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. I don't care about how good you think this team looks. If you can't stop the run in the NFL, you're not going to win, bucko. Might I remind you about when we played the Rams? Might I remind you? And what happened? Couldn't stop the run. They beat the dog out of us the entire game. What happens? Dak Prescott, he gonna do the little engine that could. He gonna fight us back. But never gets over the hill. You want me to attach myself to that? I'm just disappointed with the Cowboys, dog. And I'm tired of people blowing smoke up my butt trying to convince me that this is their year. No, it ain't. It's their year to lose again. And buckle up, because it's going to be a nasty ride. Shout out to the Mind of a Man think tank. Every other Sunday, 2300 Matlock Road in Mansfield, Texas, 76063, 5:45 p.m. at the Vault. Man, listen, come up there, smoke a stick. Let's talk about real stuff. But don't convince me that it's going to be worth your time to not come to the Vault so you can watch the Cowboys lose. Stop doing it to yourself. Your blood pressure is bad, sir. Okay? You're going to stroke out watching them be terrible. And if they're good, congratulations. I'm not even impressed by regular season stuff no more. Show me in the playoffs how good you are. Let's try to develop a solid quarterback. Oh, let's just kind of try to see if we can't tank for once and actually get a solid quarterback. Oh, man. These guys are so stressful, yo. They rob you of your joy. That's what the Cowboys do. They rob you of your joy. They strip you of your innocence. Okay? No Harvey Weinstein. But they rob you. And for once in my life, I just want them to actually do something that makes it good to step outside and walk down your steps and stretch your arms out and say, oh man, I'm rocking with the Cowboys. Because they ain't did nothing. So, I digress. I actually have a full slated show that I want to get into. This is more breaking news. I hope people actually check this out post live recording. I hope it has a good value of playback for people who actually care about sports, care about football, care about the Cowboys, care about the Packers, care about Micah Parsons, care about Jerry Jones. I hope that they all look back at this video and find some great joy in it. But I actually want to talk about the situation with Miss Townsend with tennis and how they really want us to be treated like animals. They see us like we're less than. And who is they? People who don't like black people. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to cap with you. People who don't like black people view us as animals. He said she was uneducated. What do you know about her education? And what does that have to do with her smacking you around on a tennis court? So I want to get into that. I want to continue to talk about this cowboy topic, but I definitely want to talk about some other things. I actually have some stuff that I screenshotted and I want to kind of get into the weeds with y'all about. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Listen, we've been going for an hour strong. I can't give it to you no stronger, no longer, no more passionate than what I done gave it to you, kinfolk. I've been giving it all I got. Here's the reality. If you can't tell a friend to subscribe or to hit the like button or do whatever, then the numbers will stay what they are. Do your part if that's what you want to do. I'm not here to hold a gun to your head. I'm not looking for sympathy, likes, or subscribes. I want people who actually want to consume the content. But at the end of the day gonna end. I've been up moving around since 4 o'clock this morning. It is, in fact, after 12 now. It's getting late. I had to give y'all a little bit more of my sinking bag tonight, but it's cool. I'm gonna find me something to eat, and then I am going to make sure that my kids are okay. I'm probably gonna play this game for just a little bit, just a wee bit of time, so I can decompress just a little bit, and then I'm going to bed. I love you. May the Lord keep you. I'll be back with some fresh new content for your behind. You feel me? And if you missed this, if you're just not coming in, start that thing over from the beginning, run it back. You feel me? And if you enjoy it, hit the like. If you enjoy the content, subscribe. That's an if. I'm not forcing you to do nothing now. I ain't gonna hold your hand. I ain't gonna make it. But if you do, please check it out, dog. And please tell a friend to check out the Mind of a Man Network. We got so much content, we don't even know what to do. We up to our eyeballs in the kinfolk. Until next time, I love you. May the Lord keep you. I'll see you next week or next show. Peace. Yeah, me.